Every movie, every piece of media you consume is started by a story. Stories are what save people. Stories are our lives wrapped up in cemented fragments for the world to see. Movies are such an evocative medium because they are able to sum up to us the artistic flourishes, the struggles and triumphs of the human condition. Stories are the serotonin we need to continue and learn from the people around us, to walk in one another's shoes and dare to empathize and understand our neighbors. Wes Anderson's latest film, The French Dispatch, is not only a love letter to journalism, but a love letter to the stories and the people who make these stories. I distinctly have memories as a kid going over to my grandmother's house and listening to my sister and mother talk about the weird stories we'd read in the recent Reader's Digest magazine. Or simply the nights I would find myself discovering a story and having to do extensive research to see what exactly happened. Movies are about us. It's about the things we experience and see. Our thoughts personified in an artistic medium, and The French Dispatch understands this more than any other film I've maybe ever seen. Wes Anderson's always been one of my favorite, if not my favorite filmmaker working today. And while I don't see the same pathos in The French Dispatch that I do with The Royal Tenenbaums or The Fantastic Mr. Fox, it's a different warm poignancy that radiates off this film. Wes Anderson is able to take his stylistic flourishes he is praised and mocked by and produce them in an entirely new way, presenting us through the fragments of flipping through a magazine. To just see brief summations of the wild and bewildering world we live in. This is the most Wes Anderson has ever Wes Andersoned, and if you are in love with his style like I am, this is just a feast. He uses almost all of his usual cast, presenting a dry, witty dialogue he is known for. The symmetry, the pans, the colors, and the miniatures are all presented in Wes Anderson's cookie-cutter presentation of France. Like all of his best films, it feels like a picture book, but never loses its sense of humanity. Every story here is equally as enthralling and fascinating. I think the first story certainly will be the most engaging to some, since the other two start to be more focused and detailed on the socio-political landscape of France and the deep-rooted espionage of a crime ring, but all three present a new meaning. All have one thing in common: legacy. Not just a legacy, but the legacy of someone who is in many ways a tragic hero of their own narrative. Not someone who has always been in the limelight of their own narrative, but someone whose life had an impact. Showing even just the chef cooking in the back can influence the outcome of someone's story. Each and every life and narrative is vital and important. All of this is summed up best by the epilogue of the film, which is among Wes Anderson's most poignant moments in any of his film. A moment not unlike the ending of It's a Wonderful Life, with George Bailey understanding his worth. But it's in a much more subdued fashion. It's not schmaltzy or sentimental, it's a matter of fact. Simply, your story is always being written, no matter if you see it or not. This is a beautiful film. I just wish I had Wes Anderson's talent.